best live. If I spoke to youth, what would I say success is? Is it the degrees? I said, brother, please. I don't count success by the things they can take from me. This is a special edition of the Heartwood Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Thomas RaShad Easley, aka RaShad Eas, aka the Hip Hop Forester. And don't have our brothers Benedict Lupo or Isaac Carew with us today. They're off-site doing some other great things in the world. But we are fortunate to have real blessed videographer with us. The brother Trevor Jones is running the show, keeping the cameras going for us in the background. We are today first on site. This is the 4th of July. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and date it. This is the 4th of July. So it's my birthday. So that means that from here on out, when you celebrate this day, you celebrate me, okay? Maybe my friend will tell you why just the August 4th you should be focusing on versus July 4th. But that's another story. Today, I get to interview some people who are really important to my life, and not just as a friend personally, but also as a creative and as an artist. If you've been listening to Heartwood from the beginning, you know we've been talking to people about the intersections of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and in particular, folks who work in the environmental industry or the environmental profession. From there, it evolved into talking to people who are kind of like celebrities and more well-known, to talking to about how they understand the environment and also how they understand their impact on the environment and what kind of solutions can we come up with to improve our society and improve our world, if you will, our globe. Then, as you see, we kept evolving, and now we've not only gone from talking to scientists and professors and even, say, people who work for the government, but we also talk to artists. And not just people who paint and sculpt, but also people who are musicians and who create that way. And so the Heartwood Podcast is really like co-sponsored with Yale School of the Environment. So we thank them always, for that, but also with a production company called the Easley Branch right there. All right. And so I wanted to show you that because the Easley Branch has been around actually for a while. We've been doing work together for a long time. And so I get to talk to, I told you that they were very important, the people who have been in the background. When you listen to episodes and you hear music in the background and you hear the lyrics and stuff, we have a couple of the creators. We don't even have everybody who's on the branch, but we have them here. So today I'm fortunate to be talking to my left. Okay, I got my brother. I'm not going to give you the government names. We're just going to keep it in what the world needs to know. So I'm talking to none other than, this is B, a.k.a. B God Body, a.k.a. B God Body 843.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's South Carolina's finest, okay? All right. And you want to tell them a little bit about yourself, man?
Well, it's a B God Body 843, always representing for South Cat, born and raised. I said it's a different lifestyle and a different type of way of thinking where we're from. Just a little backstory. My schools were desegregated in the 4th grade during the Lion King era of the animated series. So you know the back history about that. But that's where I'm from.
Wow, that wasn't that long ago.
Definitely not.
Okay. Wow. Okay, thank you for that. All right. And then to his left, okay, is JS 20,000. Okay, that's one of our producers on the label. You want to introduce yourself, brother? Anything about yourself?
Yes, JS 20,000. Coming to you this way, actually, from based out of Ohio. That's where my studio is. That's where I do all of my production and whatnot. But I'm originally from Birmingham, same as RaShad.
205, baby, 205.
So similar experiences growing up. So yes, we click on that level as well too.
Yeah. Thank you. And he's not on camera, okay, but he's also a critical part to what we do. And this is our brother. Maybe we'll put up the color for you. But we have in the background none other than DJ Green, also known as DJ Green. What's going on, brother?
What up, bro?
What's going on? All right, okay. See, that's all you need, okay? That's all you get, okay? That's all y'all deserve, okay? You don't even deserve that much. He gave you 3 words. What up, Doc? And then we leave it alone. All right. Well, brothers first, I am so excited to have us all here, okay? And especially I have to give a shout out. We're in Persian Hill Sound Studios, okay? Our brother, Greg Elkins, in many ways, is kind of like part of the genesis of this, okay? Because we, started out actually making music here in this studio. And we've always had an intention of, for all intents and purposes, not cursing in our music. We've always done that. We've always tried to make sure that we didn't really use like derogatory terms in our music. And then when we are making just a sound, when we're doing it, we're always trying to help you to, elevate your music. Hold on to that because that'll come up later. And so, but there's always this intention. So before we get into, like any of this, I'd like to ask, I'd like to start with you, JS. Okay. Because you and I remember we were, and really all three of us were on my first record, that Transitions record, the one where I tried to have the sexy pose, but it didn't work. Yeah, that one.
It worked.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay. But I feel like since you and I have known each other, there's always been this where you think outside the box. There's a little bit more thoughtfulness to it. Maybe there's a little bit more critique to it. There's a little bit more like there's another lane. Like when everybody else is gone in the two lanes, you find a way to find another two. Like maybe there's another direction that we can go. I feel like you also do that in the music, okay, in the sound. So I just like to ask, like, how, like, first, personally, when did that kind of way of being, if you will, kind of pushing things forward, start for you? If you can think back, like neither one of us are old men with the same age, but if you can just think back, like, when did that kind of start? This way of just kind of want to be outside of the box, and do things a little bit differently, start for you personally.
From what I can gather, I would state that it would have, from as early as I can remember, basically, been a sort of mentality where I always was questioning the way society was working, the way people were behaving, and how is it that everyone has a tendency to want to stay in this particular lane, behave this particularly, have this type of mentality. And I was always under the impression that, well, there has to be other ways to interact or move through society and not just have that one particular track but still be a part of society.
Okay. So you've always had like just curiosity that there's another way of doing of being.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I've always been a fan of your music since when you first started, which is why we, made music together. It'll be technically more than 13 years ago, first started, and then to be here now, like where Instrumentals is out. Okay, I love that album. Even the self-titled song on there, which is him, JS 20,000, is just one of my favorites of all time. And then his second album is getting ready to come out soon. Elevate your music. Elevate your music. Elevator music. You see that? He does this all of the time. In your, like you do things intentionally, like why and I am, why nothing is more. Now I'd like to know how does that carry over into your creation, into your music, like this way of being that you have personally? How does that come over? And then if I'm making a wrong assumption, you can tell me. But why is it important that you are always elevated, in your production?
Well, I would say that the number one rule for life is growth. You should always be striving to be a better person than you were the day prior. And being that, yes, you are always out there trying to learn new things, trying to expand, your horizons in that particular way, and trying to think more outside of the strictures of what some may want to have you funneled through, as far as, what your, how they want you to think or behave or talk or dress or things of that nature. So there should always be that need to want to push things forward, because historically speaking, the greatest innovators, the greatest movers and shakers, the greatest minds of our civilization have always been those people who have pushed, who have been the ones doing things outside the box, so to speak.
Now, okay, And this is just the last. Thank you for that. This is the last one. Then I'll just ask if anyone else, want to chime in. If I was to describe your music, I would just say no genre. If I was to describe it, But that's just me, and that's not me trying to disparage it. That's more of a compliment because to me the music doesn't necessarily fit, but I can always find a pocket like this. The way you put it out, sometimes I feel like I'm talking to you, like when I'm with the music. But I know that you want people to take from it what they will take from it. But if I was to, I don't want to do the typical like if there was a song to represent your sound, what would it be? But if there was a statement to describe your motivation a lot of times, could you give me something like that? Like, what would describe like how you do it or why you do it?
Wow. Yeah, that's a bit of a tough one, I would say. But
yes. Finally, y'all. You don't understand how many years and knowing this man since 96. Yes.
But let's see. I would say for the most part, it would be just the type of music. It's like you can't really pin it down on a particular genre because it covers a lot of different, it covers, hip hop, some jazz, even some funky elements, down tempo, chill types of music as well. So it's basically just I would say combining the best of all things.
Okay, combining the I'm gonna take it back to the 5% back in the day when I used to talk. His music is like everything is everything. So you get the greatness, no matter when you listen to it. Now you and I've known each other the longest. So I just want to tiptoe over, to our faceless brother. Okay, all right, who will remain faceless but not nameless. Mr. Green, and we've been doing music really since my second record. Southern Black Gentleman. You kind of, I think all great producers on it, but I think your songs were the hits. Your songs were the standouts. Like Let Me Out, Shut 'Em Down, Make It Bounce. Yeah. That was the one. But what a lot of people may not know about you, is that and they can't see you, but he looks like an Avenger. Like he's tall. Everybody's handsome now, but he's tall. But he's built. But I know when you and I met, we were both at the flagship school here in the state of North Carolina, and you were crushing it out there, on the green, pun intended. As an athlete, and you still do that now. I tell you, like you still take care of your health now. I feel like you do it more now than you did then. Can you? I'd like to ask you if you could describe, because I know that you do it, because I've seen your discipline. How do you take that pushes you to do this with your body over into your music making and into your creation? You see, like I can see how Jazz does with his mind, like what he's going with his head, like what's going on up here and then it's coming there and also here. But how about you? You I feel like it's this, so how does that come into how you make your music?
You'll say that's a great question.
Yes, I'm on one today. Happy birthday to me.
Well, for me, I like to just let things flow. I engineer, almost every day. So, engineering and making music, they go hand in hand. So, working with the artists, I kind of see the similar processes that we both have, even from the seat that I sit in. So, music has always been like a comfort, like, can give you a feeling that a lot of things can give you. And, like I said, I just go with the flow or whatever. If I feel like making something, I do. I mean, if I don't, then I don't try to force it. But I'm fortunate to be in a position that I'm always being inspired by artists, different types of artists every day. So, it's just fun, and, you come back to, just enjoying what you're doing. So that's really what it is for me. It's fun for me.
Okay. And when you were doing things on the field and stuff, like, I assume like that was also fun at the time. So it's like you were able to pick up from the guys and add to them, and now you're doing it in this.
And everybody playing their part, doing their part as as a team or whatever. And, it all come together at the end.
Mm-hmm. Something as you were talking, you mentioned how you go with the flow, and being that this podcast, we do a lot that deals with the environment. Like there's no such thing really as outdoors, right? There's only separating us from that with this wall and this ceiling, but we're constantly, outdoors. How like have you always been this person that goes, with the flow? And if you have been, what do you think keeps that going? And that's a question for everybody. Okay, before I get to your individual, because that's something I feel that I noticed with all of you. You all kind of have this, you remember last night, you kind of encouraged me, when I needed it, but you have this go with the flow. So I want to start with you first and then bring it back here, okay? Just like, have you always been like that? Since I've known you, you've had the attitude to go with the flow. That's how you work. You were a student in my class, okay? Sometimes I was like, I need you to come on, bro, and you did. But this whole thing about just kind of moving smoothly, because I noticed that you're always like that. Have you always been like that? And why?
For the most part, yeah, I have, because I'm kind of very observant, so I like to keep things balanced. Of course, I'm not always at the center point of it. I might, be to the left a little further sometime, or to the right a little further sometime, but I'll take note of it and, just try to bring it back to the center, try to keep everything balanced. And, that's how things work out for me. I don't know, everybody's different, but that's just how things work for me.
Okay, all right. Julius? How about you? What's like what you told me yesterday? You were like, well, I shouldn't say his words because, but I'll say like what I learned from him. I want to respect the privacy, the confidence of it. But, as I'm continuing to age, I'm learning to go with the flow, because I'm seeing that I don't really control anything but my reaction to it. So, J.S., how do you do that? And you can even make it about the music if you want to say even the flow in that, but I just feel like personally, generally, you're like that as well.
Yes, but it was never like this, in years past. It was completely the opposite, if you recall.
Tell me more. Yes, I do recall, but it's your story.
But but I would say yes. There, tell
us a little bit about the past. Like, you say it wasn't always like that.
Well, yes. Yeah, there were anger management issues. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. So, little things could, turn into something huge, and, it'll just be a big blow up and, and a big mess. But over time, I realized that, yes, I can't always be in control of every single situation. I can't control other people and their behaviors, their actions, and I cannot allow their actions to affect me either. So, but that's what you call emotional maturity.
Okay.
So, in that particular sense, and some people mature emotionally faster than others. So for me, it took a little bit longer to get there, but I'm here now.
That's right. All right. And I love it for you. And now, guess what? Now we're going to talk to somebody that we haven't talked to yet, but he's been here on camera the whole time. B, my brother from South Cac's finest. We've had Birmingham, Alabama's finest. My brother, Georgia's finest. Okay, can't leave our GA. Represents Georgia well. But we got my brother from Hartsfield sitting here next to me. Now, well, I've known JS the longest, but you and I have been rocking the longest in music, And so I just like take, just a little time to kind of talk about that, and then maybe some other history that you and I have. But we met at the flagship school, the same school. DJ Green, at NC State, and you were my first student that I ever recruited. Okay, you were my first student. Can we tell can we at least tell the world what's the commonality that we have? What was the first thing that made us click with our name?
The first thing that made us click is that we both share, and we're both was an honor to have RaShad in our name.
Same middle name.
Same middle name. Same foundation. But NC State is where it started. Between that and going to Howard and being my younger brother for the next 4 years of my life again. And then going to George Washington University, which was definitely expensive during that time, and probably even more expensive now. But your connection that you had with me, with our name, and actually talking to me, telling me about NC State and calling me was the key factor, because you actually cared about me and you never even met in person during that time.
Thank you, appreciate it. I feel like that's in some ways, in the way that he just said that, I think that goes throughout all of our music. Is that care. So I just want to ask you now. Okay, then I'm gonna ask you, and then I'm going to ask you another question. How do you go with the flow? You have always been, like, for me, a human barbiturate. I mean, you have always just brought the temperature. I mean, that's a compliment. I'm talking about he brings the temperature down. He used to be the only person at one time. I think Jeff was too. That could calm me down. Like whenever I got really angry, it's like they kind of do go find me. Something was going on. How have you been like that? Because and you've experienced some hardships, and you still go through the hardship the same way, like God. That's just how you do that, man. Talk to us.
Like you said, like God, because we are all a part of the Big Bang. So my thing is that all the elements that are in me are also in the universe, and the universe controls everything. Therefore, I have the power to control something. And going with the flow is knowing that I am going with the thoughts and the direction of the universe. So that is why I'm able to be a little more calm in certain situations. And also, that's the only thing that I really can't control, like you said, your reaction to things. Mm-hmm. So if I'm able to control my reaction, control my breathing, and people can gravitate to that, break it down to science again, and then it's a chain reaction. So it's like that's my ability to go with the flow, because I am flowing with the divine path.
It just got deep, didn't it? It just got deep, didn't it? Did you see that? Now I'm going to tell you something. If you heard that and you were like, imagine talking to JS 20,000 regularly. It is, boy, it's like your vision will correct. You understand what I'm saying? Like just some things will adjust. All my brothers are really, they're all brilliant. Okay, now, so one thing that you'll notice if you look at least on to those of us who are visible, we all got the memo. Everybody got the memo to wear something that represented them. And so first it represents them. Okay. I just like for everybody first to tell what your t-shirt is about. Okay. So what I'm going to do, so what I do is I like to go here first. Well, no. Let's go here, then me, then here. Okay. What's on your shirt, JS 20,000?
Yes. It's here. This is the official logo of JS 20,000. As it is spelled out in this particular form. It's, of course, J, S, 2, and the 4 zeros, like so. And but that's just me expressing my artistic talent in a particular way, and because initially I wanted to be a cartoonist, but some things just don't pan out. But nonetheless, it makes itself manifest in other ways.
And mentioning how you just mentioned, wanted to be a cartoonist. My brother is actually an engineer, and you may not want, tell the company, but can you at least just tell a little bit of what other skills, that you actually have, besides being an amazing, arranger as well as composer and producer?
Yes. Yeah, I'm a electrical engineer, so my day job when I don't have on my cape. My day job is basically designing circuits, for a lot of different applications like aerospace, medical, there was some automotive and also a lot of defense, but nonetheless, that's my day job, and that's what keeps the lights turned on.
Okay.
But yeah, And but the thing about it is, I would not have become an electrical engineer if it weren't for music. As far as going back to my uh, childhood growing up, where um, this was back in the days when you had the huge, uh, boom box that you
Yes.
carry around, and
Right.
you just go through the neighborhood and just do. Yeah, it's just. But nonetheless, I, I always wanted one of those, but they were just so terribly expensive back then. Several hundreds of dollars, which of course today doesn't seem like anything, but back then, yeah, that was a fortune. Uh, so yeah, when I realized I couldn't have one, I figured, okay, well, I'll just make me one, and that's what started me on that path for engineering. But it blended that with my, you know, uh, musical, my interest and love for music. So it blended the two.
Yes. Y'all listen, when we were in college, I told the brothers before we got started, my friend, I'll be coming from forestry class and get to whether it was Morris Hall or Stevens. And this man would make the whole building vibrate. The whole building would shake. And it was just funny to hear all of the fellas down the hall, shut it off, man, stop. I mean, it was just funny to hear everybody snapping, man, because everybody was going on. And then if you were cool with him, then you would go to his room, knock on the door if he heard you. Hey, man, you might just turn it off for a minute. You need like, okay. And he just turned it off. But it would vibrate the entire building. It was something. So it's you've always had that way of doing that. I fortunately have on my one of my records, so RaShad Eas diagnosis. And yes, those are like blood cells. And this was one of my records that also everybody is on it. And I broke down. I think just like how you talked about in society, I tried to address it, on this, on the record, like in the first song produced by Brother Green over there. The doc is in too. I say something like, so like I say, now the doc is in, surgery can begin. Got to cut the cancer out. The cells are spreading again. Now we aim to be celebrity. News and movies know they ain't helping me. All I see, bad news, TMZ. Truth and love must be sold separately. When I make music, you're better be something that you can use, especially if we just stay high and we'll change the ropes. What the hell we telling we that you a slave? Yeah, technically, success sets you up. Apparently, the kids are over social media, but it's also where their parents be. So that's just an example of what we mean when we say in the lyrics we're addressing things that go on social. You know what I'm saying? Like my man he has a bookstore. So we're always trying to educate, not just in our music, but also in life. And so just that little snippet, I'm not going to, give you any more lyrics. You want more, you go stream it, okay? You go listen to it. But that's just a sample of what I mean. Like, that's what our music represents. So I wanted to take a little time because my brother, he has on his, and while his logo tells a story, my album, I think kind of gives a story. Like his to me, his logo makes you want to go explore a story. Mine makes you go, oh man, the story's being told. But but his album is an actual complete story about something that happened to him. Can you tell us about the shirt that you have on?
Yes. So this is from my first official project, 2020 BC. And the BC is for before Corona, stands for before Corona. And this is a time during we had to wear a mask, the pandemic is happening. But this is also during a time where I was actually going to trial to fight felony assault charges. As you can see, I try to stay calm. So the fact that I have to defend myself and say that I'm not a violent person really helped me out in the long run. Not only that, but being able to study law so I can speak their language and combat them, in addition to graduating from NC State, also really helped me out. But this picture right here is powerful because during this time, as you can see, the courthouse is boarded up. So we were very upset during that time, we as a people, and this has been like that for 400 years, but there's a certain point where we really have to react and show our frustration and get things heard. And for me, this project is special because it is a time capsule for me to capture a moment where not only the nation is going through horrendous time with George Floyd and everything, but also myself to be able to be in front of a white judge and an all-white jury, and it's supposed to be a jury of your peers. And you're supposed to have a speedy trial, but I was literally on bond for 4 years. And when I was arrested, I didn't know when I was going to get out. And the fact that you were there the entire time, the commissary, visiting, also when I got a chance to actually go to court, and the judge like, how you doing? And people like, you know the judge? Like, yeah, I didn't know. Like, I was, I just saw, like, yeah, like y'all see, it wasn't a preordained in that way, but I said before, walking in that purpose. But for me, like you did a bar, I'm going to do one of mine. Bond 100,000 MSRP Maserati. In the cage in the courthouse till we go back to the county. Shackled like animals, more pride for the lions. Nightmare to a sheep, but we are walking insomniacs. Playing inside cell walls like mitochondria. Dreadlock Samson, go up against Goliath. So with my music, you're going to get that connection with nature, playing inside cell walls like mitochondria. A play on words for cell wall for the plant. However, I'm also planted inside a cell wall by being incarcerated. And the mitochondria, of course, is the energy center. I use animals as well, lions representation for me being Black and also having locks. And in addition to that, just telling an authentic story. Like I said, I don't have to curse. I learned from Rakim to be one of the best. To say what you want, you don't have to use those filler words to rhyme. Curse words to really get my thought across. Just paint that clear picture. But with this project, just like me, you need about 30 minutes of great content, and there's no real fillers. So it's about quality versus quantity. With that aspect, definitely need to be like the other machine here, RaShad Eas, and put out way more music than I'm doing now. But I know that each song has a purpose, and my writing style has improved. I remember in the studio, get in the studio with him, Mr. Tupac over here, he write 3 songs in 5 minutes, and I'm still on my first half a bar. I didn't even know how to count bars at that time. Remind me of 50 Cent, he didn't know how to count bars, so I learned a lot from you. But it's also like being from the South and being outside with nature. You have that serenity and that calm and that space to breathe and think and enjoy the sight. So you get that in my music. And you made a great comment that, we're not outside. There's no outside, because actually these walls are made of wood. Mm-hmm. So everything that keeps us indoors is made for nature. But yeah, that's this project 2020 BC. I still talk about some things like that in my future music, but this album right here was to capture that moment and to let people know that you have to advocate for yourself. You also have to understand your friends and your enemies and be gracious for the opportunities, because whether you're in a classroom or in a store, you can touch and impact somebody's life. So I was able to do that behind the walls, inside the walls, outside the walls. So I just thank for the opportunity.
The fact that you mentioned the environment, the way that you just did that. Oh, he's a scientist too, everybody. So that's the other thing. Everybody here, is like college educated, and that's, to me, that's one of the fascinating things I love about all of us, who do work with the branch, including our 2 other family members who aren't here, Joe T, the producer, as well as Talitha Rising. She comes up with our hooks. That's our hook incubator. She puts down bars real quick, and just, and very special, obviously. Joe T, technically, I've known him longer than I've known anybody. And I literally grew up with him. But, everybody has that formal type of education. Okay, so this is where we get ready to kind of bring it to a close. And this is, for anybody. Okay. Being that you are very educated, but also very interested in topics that sometimes could be, look at, you see, like, putting his face, look at, he already cracked. That could be emotional, that could be charged. Everything from talking about vaccinations to talking about religion. I'd like to, if you could just share, the world doesn't deserve your perspective or, how you always think and feel, but could you give us, would you mind sharing a snippet of, how you kind of see the environment, and then if the spirit leads you, does any of how you see the world, the environment, manifest in your music? So, so that's for anybody. If you want to as well, but that's for anybody. Whoever starts, we just sit and listen.
Well, I would say to expound more on what we mentioned before about all of the things that man produces being derived from nature, that is also my thought as well, being that, everything had its origin in the earth. So all things that were produced, cars, computers, whatever they are, they've all been somehow extracted from the soil or from the things that are on the soil, like, plants, trees, or even animals themselves, in that respect. And with that being said, it leads to a philosophical question as far as do these things that man produce even really have the intrinsic value that they should have? Meaning that, okay, yeah, why is this Rolls Royce costing more than this Corolla? Even though they're extracted from some of the same raw materials, but not to get into anything, as far as like a Marxist discussion on capitalism and labor and things of that nature. But I'm just saying, it's more like, because I know there's more labor to go into the production of a Rolls Royce, but the thing is, it's still that the raw material itself, is in essence priceless. So you can't necessarily place value on that. And also, one could say the same with anything that is created, even if it is intangible, like music. Can you really put a price on music? And with that being said, it's like, well, yeah, we're in the business of trying to sell our music. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. More money. But the thing is, the music is a gift to humanity. It's a gift to civilization. It's a gift. It's meant to be an expression of what's in you, in your soul, in your pouring out whatever you see as an expression of the experiences that you have going through your life, whatever they are, happiness, sadness, even anger, sometimes, all of these different faces of whatever you have, in your life at that moment, it manifests in that music. And when other people listen to that music, they are getting a snapshot of what you yourself have gone through in that essence. So it's, so you're sharing something. And in that essence, it is priceless, these experiences, these social experiences in that way, connecting with other people through an art form. Mm-hmm. You can't put a price tag on it, essentially. You could probably put a sneaker endorsement behind it. But I'm just saying,
Yeah. Yeah, just before you answer that question, I just want to point something out. I'm gonna do what some would say. JS, we don't like this. It's a pet peeve of people who just like to study things. But you heard how you mentioned Marxist, how you just mentioned that. Parents, when you say that you don't have anything intelligent for your children to listen to, every piece of music that we make is something that your children can listen to. Okay, we even got a man who's raising the son right now, and we make sure that our music is good. His son is in our videos and on our albums. Junior. We want to make music that crosses. We make music, that crosses generations. And I think that could be for people who want to study Marxism, or people who just want to call your boy Mark up. But the whole point of what I'm saying is that there is brilliance behind what we're doing, and that was just a piece of him just saying that. So I really just wanted to plug that about our music, and thank you for, just for what you always do. Okay, B, how about you now? Think about the environment, how you see it, how you understand it, and does that also, your understanding of it, show itself in your music, in your vision? And please explain why now.
Okay. So I see nature as a reflection of myself. Similar to water, it has the ability to keep you hydrated, smooth, real hot, a little drop can keep a plant alive, but also too much of it can destroy a mountain, or a little bit of it during a long time can cut through rock. So nature's like simultaneously calculated and random. It's like Fibonacci sequence. So the beautiful patterns and the frequency and the waves that is nature, that's also music. And that's who we are. Also, the vibrations, they said now, they literally vibrated the entire dormant. They felt in that impact, something that they can sense. And with my music, I am the same way. I put that in it because it is a force. And it is a force that comes from up high, because we are literally orbiting through the galaxy, traveling 1,000 miles per hour, spinning on top of that, and traveling forward. So that force that created the universe, I'm just a vessel to tell my side of my story, but also give praise to what we all share at the same time on this planet. It's a beautiful day outside. The same sun that can keep a sunflower growing up can also burn down a rainforest, or whatever the case may be if it's too hot. And that's what my music is. It's a reflection of the beauty of being alive. There's ups, there's downs, there's mountains, there's valleys, there's droughts, there's rains, but through it all, you get a chance to experience it. And if you're lucky enough, people around you, or people who never get a chance to meet you, or other generations, through our voice. And on top of that, we will live forever through our music. So that's another thing. So that's why the message is very, very important. Because if I'm not able to defend what I'm saying, then I don't have to, because my music will do that for me. And everything that you get from it, if you take the beat away, the message may be even better. But thanks to DJ Green, the message is harder because of the 808s. But yeah, that's what it's about. It's about having that impact and reflecting on the ability to just share my life experience with you all.
So we all have a personal history together. Obviously, I'll just keep it to the people here in this room. Met B at NC State, recruited him, and we've been family ever since. Met Brother Greenland. He fortunately took my class, and we've been family ever since. It was a class that was a kind of a preemptive class where people were it was a student success class where people were preemptively enrolled, kind of like whether you wanted to or not. And I had, Black, brown, white, Asian, indigenous, students all in the class. And when it always started out, people some people, why am I in this class? But when it was over, we had created our own community, when the class was over. And the whole point was for people to come into the class, bring the mess to me, like the mess of you don't belong, you're not smart enough, you don't fit in, you're not going to make it, and go out there and give them the truth, which is I am smart enough. I earn my way in here. I can contribute. I have something to offer, and I'm brilliant, or I'm beautiful, and I'm handsome. I'm all of that. And so to be able to go from a class to now creating a platform and putting music out, and making some money, together, like to be in business together, to be in community, but more importantly, to be in friendship is to me probably the most valiant thing I feel with what we create. My brother here and I, we're literally from the same city, and we grew up a lot of the same way. There were environmental injustices just based on where we lived that we were dealing with, that we didn't know that we were dealing with until later in life. Probably I'll say for me, 15 years ago, I realized the kind of stuff that we were dealing with, our water, our air. But we meet an undergrad, like I said, and he's engineering. I'm forestry, and it's just so much. We've lived together. You just when you fast forward to here we are now, and my brother has worked all over the country. He's brilliant. He's had California to New York, like to Alabama, and to be right there in Ohio and to have his studio there, to be able to go there with my friend. And we went from like everything's different now. We eat the same. Like we try to, be healthy in our eating. We share recipes. We talk about, we shared the same, position on things going on in society. All of us actually, we all basically did the same thing in these last 4 years. And so I really feel like our music is really a reflection of our relationship or our friendship, which I think is trust, integrity, honor. But I just really just think, genuine care. Y'all seen my ups and downs, and I'm proud to say that I make music with my friends who have seen the dark side and the light side of me, and the taupe or the medium side of me too. But either way, it's nothing but handsome size. So as we bring this to a close, I really want to say thank you for before we have any last words. The EasleyBranch.com. You want to find our music? That's where you find everything. Jazz 20,000 instrumentals. He has a slew of singles out that are amazing, and new record coming out. Elevate your music. 2020 BC. Reparations. Mark of the Best. Mixtape and Reparations was a mixtape first, and also on the Easley Branch. The truth is out there. The truth is in here. Excuse me. The truth is in here. Bookstore. You can find that on Instagram and on Facebook. Big Guy Body 843. You can find on Instagram Easley Branch Music, and of course RaShad Eas. Like you can find me. So before I give any last questions, let me just make sure that I give a shout out to the to the man of the house, Greg. Everything good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here
Okay. He said, yeah. He's glad that we're here. Like I said, that's our brother, who has been with us from day one, and that's really what our music is. I think that our music is more about family, and about us really, really supporting each other. So, last thoughts, last words. Since everybody here's a walking encyclopedia. What any last thoughts? That you want to leave the people with, or any last philosophies? I know that there's a lot more that I can ask you, and we'll have you back on. We'll even do some individual ones because you have too much to share. But is there anything that you just want to leave the people with? Okay, let me just start. Let me go. Into the ether, because he's not here, but we feel his presence. Mr. Green, do you have anything that you would want to tell the people?
Yeah, man. It's pretty cool podcast. Pretty cool day. Happy birthday, Doc. I think y'all got everything covered.
Appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Okay. Well, then let's go to my, to my home guy, my homeboy. Both from the Ham 205. JS, any last things that you would like to share, bro?
Well, I would say, check out the new album, Elevate Your Music, on the 17th. It's coming out on all the streaming platforms.
Yeah.
So, all of them.
All of them.
Make sure, all streaming platforms. So you can't say, oh, it's not on Apple Music. Oh, it is on Apple Music. It is. So, yes, it's all there.
And it will be on the website, too.
Yes, that's correct.
EasleyBranch.com.
EasleyBranch.com. Correct. So.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, B.
And for me, I will say that you will have to advocate for yourself. When I was going through my ordeal, there was a 97% conviction rate for any case that went to federal court trial. So that's why they give you that plea bill. So you can say, yes, I did it. They have the opportunity to, get home sooner than potentially fighting the case and being 500% guilty. So it's either all or nothing. And with that, that's what they say the family, the trust is all about. So my message to everyone is that definitely advocate for yourself. You have to speak up. And in order to speak up, sometimes you have to research so you know what to say. Pick up a book and read.
Pick up a book and read. It's okay, so you know what to say. Rhyming without trying to. That's just what we do, okay? That's just what we do. Okay, so we want to thank you, everybody. This is this is the Dean's List of music. Yes, this is the Dean's List. I'm fortunate that I remember when we officially made a record called the Dean's List. That's when I became a Dean. That was wild. I couldn't believe how that happened. And so I say that we are what we make. We are our music. Save Your Life music is the tag that I put on it. They have their own tags for their music, but I feel the whole collective is Save Your Life, because when you listen to our music, there's wisdom, there's knowledge, there's understanding in everything that we do, whether it's just music with the beautiful sounds that say a JS 20,000 makes, or Joe T the producer makes, or a DJ Green makes, and then when you have the aggregate of sound and lyrics, which is what myself, D, make with our family. And so I want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to the Heartwood Podcast. We just finished talking to JS 20,000, B Guy Body 843, and DJ Green, with a real blessed videography here in Persian Hill Sound Studios in Raleigh, North Carolina on the 4th of July. And so to me, this is not only a professional episode, this is a birthday gift to myself. It's my own time capsule to lock down all of the greatness that we've made, because there's so much more to come. So everybody, go in grace, go in peace. Thank you for listening to us. And until the next time, Heartwood out. Peace.
The music changes.
It's a new rhythm, keep it smooth, no shouting. Who we wanna hear rap Dre 3000. Time for new blood, let the legends take a break. Drop out to graduates, now let's graduate.